In the cradle of time, before empires rose and fell, in a world still kissed by the breath of gods, there stood Uruk, the city of walls, of stone and song, of pride and power. And its king was Gilgamesh, two-thirds god and one-third man, born of Ninsun, lady of wisdom, and shaped by the hands of destiny. His arms could wrestle lions, his feet could outrun rivers, and his voice could silence storms. He built towers that scraped the heavens and ruled not with justice, but with unchecked might. The people prayed not with joy, but with trembling lips. They cried out beneath the weight of his reign, and the gods listened. From the clay of the wild, from the breath of animals and the whispers of trees, they shaped Enkidu, a man of nature, untouched by cities, clothed in hair and silence, drinking from the same streams as deer. The wild man and the city king were fated to collide, and when they did, the earth trembled. They battled beneath the gaze of stars, fists echoing like thunder on stone, and in that clash, respect was born. Brothers not by blood, but by soul. Together, they walked where no mortals dared. To the cedar forest, where Humbaba stood, guardian of the gods' sacred realm, whose breath was fire and whose voice cracked trees. Dreams warned them, the gods forbade them, but still they marched, blades drawn, hearts forged in defiance. When Humbaba fell, the trees wept sap like blood, and the gods stirred in disquiet. Ishtar, goddess of beauty and wrath, descended in a blaze of gold and desire, offering her love to Gilgamesh. But he saw not beauty, but betrayal. For she had broken kings, shattered warriors, and turned stallions into dust. He scorned her, and her fury lit the heavens. She unleashed the bull of heaven to trample Uruk, but the brothers stood firm, and the beast fell. The gods had seen enough. For their arrogance, their challenge, their triumphs, Enkidu was marked. A sickness crept into his bones, a divine curse masked as decay. Gilgamesh wept beside his bed, clutching his hand, watching strength fade from the man who once felled mountains. Enkidu dreamed of the underworld, of dust and silence, of a house with no return. And when he died, Gilgamesh howled, not like a king, but like a wounded wolf. He tore his hair, his robes, his crown. He wandered beyond the gates, beyond the edge of maps, seeking that which no man could hold, immortality. For if death could take Enkidu, then what was the purpose of kingship, of conquest, of breath? He sought Utnapishtim, the ancient, the flood survivor, the one granted life unending. Through deserts that burned the feet and skies that cracked with lightning, Gilgamesh walked. He crossed the twin mountains of Mashu, whose gates were guarded by scorpion men, whose eyes saw dawn and dusk at once. Through darkness deeper than night, he walked 12 leagues, guided only by will. He reached the sea of death, the waters of no return, and there met Siduri, the alewife, who told him to embrace joy, to love, to live. But he could not. He had seen death's face. He found Urshanabi, ferryman of the gods, and together they sailed over the black waters. Waves whispered names long forgotten. Stars watched in silence. And at the end of the world, he found Utnapishtim, a man not glowing with divinity, but weary with knowing. Utnapishtim told him of the flood, of the gods' wrath, of the world swallowed by water, how he built an ark, saved life, and was rewarded with eternity. But immortality, he said, is not a gift. It is a burden. To test Gilgamesh, he asked him to stay awake 6 nights and 7 days, but sleep, that quiet brother of death, stole over him, and he failed. Still, compassion stirred. Utnapishtim's wife begged mercy, and the old one revealed a plant, sharp as thorns and red as blood, hidden beneath the waves, that could restore youth. Gilgamesh dove, battled the depths, and seized it. He turned homeward, hope blazing in his chest. But fate is cruel and serpents swift. While bathing, a snake stole the plant, shedding its skin as it slithered away, reborn, while Gilgamesh remained mortal. In that moment he laughed, not in joy, but in the bitter wisdom of those who have seen beyond illusion. He returned to Uruk. He walked its massive walls, touched the stones his hands had placed, and finally saw what he had built. Not temples or towers, but memory. His name, his trials, his love, his sorrow, etched into time. And so Gilgamesh did not gain eternal life, but he gained something greater. The knowledge that to live is to lose, and to lose is to learn what matters. His story became clay tablets, and clay tablets became legend. And legend became the seed of all heroic tales. He is still with us. In every king who questions power, in every friend who stands beside us, in every soul who dares the impossible and mourns what cannot be kept. Gilgamesh, the first hero, not because he was strongest, but because he searched, suffered, and remembered. And in the silence after the storm, when the last fire dims and the stars blink out, his voice will still echo in stone, in story, in the breath of every mortal who wonders what lies beyond the veil. He was not a god. He was not a man. He was something greater, the bridge between the two.